Dear listener, today we talk about the hidden world beneath our feet, life in Earth's deepest depths, so listen carefully because this topic is very interesting. The hidden world beneath our feet, the deep biosphere. Scientists have made an incredible discovery, a vast hidden world inside the Earth's crust, home to some of the most extreme and resilient life forms imaginable. This mysterious ecosystem, known as the deep biosphere, exists in total darkness, under crushing pressure, and in toxic, boiling environments. Yet, life thrives here, defying everything we thought was necessary for survival. A gigantic, hidden world. The deep biosphere is at least twice the size of all Earth's oceans combined. It is home to more microbes than the rest of the planet, with a total biomass more than 20 times greater than all humans, livestock, and wild animals. This discovery is so recent that, in scientific terms, we have only just begun to understand it. Journey into the depths. Imagine drilling deep into the earth. At first, we pass through soil rich with life, where plants and animals thrive. As we go deeper, we cross underground water layers filled with minerals and tiny scavengers. Then, we reach the bedrock, where life becomes even more extreme. At around 1,000 meters deep, oxygen disappears, and the temperature rises to 30 degrees Celsius. Further down, at nearly 4 kilometers, the pressure is immense, and the heat reaches 120 degrees Celsius. Some areas are even hotter due to magma. The environment is also filled with salt, acids, and radiation. It seems impossible for life to exist here. Yet, it does. Life inside solid rock. Rocks deep underground are not completely solid. They have tiny pores and cracks filled with water, creating a vast system of microcaves. Here, octillions of microbes live, each more extreme than the next. Some create their own food from minerals, while others form protective layers and work together in colonies. Some microbes have evolved to survive for thousands, even millions of years, by living in a state of extreme slow metabolism. They barely eat or move, yet they endure. Predators in the depths. Surprisingly, some multicellular creatures also live in the deep biosphere. Tiny worms, rotifers, and even arthropods hunt the microbes in these underground caves. It's unclear if they evolved there or if they were carried down by underground water over millions of years. Either way, these deep predators add to the mystery of this hidden world. Challenges in studying the deep biosphere. Studying the deep biosphere is extremely difficult. Drilling into the crust risks contaminating the samples, and replicating these extreme conditions in a lab is almost impossible. Many of these microbes live so slowly that scientists can barely observe them in action. Most of what we know comes from analyzing their DNA and guessing their abilities. What can we learn? The deep biosphere is a new frontier of science, with endless possibilities for discovery. Learning about these life forms could help us understand medicine, energy, climate change, and even the origins of life itself. Some scientists believe that similar deep biospheres might exist on other planets or moons, hidden beneath their frozen surfaces. This means that studying life under our feet could also help us find life beyond Earth. The future of exploration. As research continues, we are just scratching the surface of this vast underground world. Who knows what secrets are still waiting to be uncovered? The deep biosphere reminds us that life is incredibly adaptable and that the universe may be full of hidden surprises. The deepest hole on Earth is the Kola Superdeep Borehole in Russia, which reaches a depth of 12,262 meters 40,230 feet. Scientists began drilling in 1970 to study the Earth's crust, but extreme temperatures exceeding 180 degrees Celsius (356 degrees Fahrenheit) forced them to stop in 1994. What's hiding in the deepest hole? 1. Strange microfossils. Tiny fossils of 24 species of plankton were found at 6 kilometers (3.7 miles) deep, suggesting life existed in extreme conditions millions of years ago. 2. Boiling mud and water. Scientists expected solid rock but found water locked in the deep cracks, which was highly pressurized and unexpectedly hot. 3. A mysterious hell sound myth. Some conspiracy theories claim eerie noises were heard from the hole, but these are myths with no scientific backing. 4. Unexpected rock changes. The rock structure at extreme depths was much different from what geologists predicted, challenging models of the Earth's crust. 5. No mantle. Scientists hoped to reach the Earth's mantle but were still in the continental crust when drilling stopped. Even though the Kola Superdeep Borehole is now abandoned and sealed, it provided invaluable insights into Earth's deep mysteries. Deep Earth is home to a hidden biosphere, often called the deep biosphere, where life exists miles beneath the surface in extreme conditions. Scientists have discovered that microbes, bacteria, and even tiny multicellular organisms thrive in environments once thought uninhabitable. What kind of life exists in deep Earth? 1. Deep microbial life. Bacteria and archaea survive in extreme heat, pressure, and chemical-rich environments. Some feed on hydrogen, methane, or even rocks. 2. Zombie bacteria. Some microbes in deep Earth are millions of years old, reproducing extremely slowly, leading scientists to call them zombie bacteria. 3. Subterranean worms. Tiny nematodes. Roundworms have been found 2.2 miles (3.6 kilometers) underground, surviving in deep cracks filled with water. 4. Fungi and other extremophiles. Some fungi survive deep underground, breaking down minerals for nutrients. 5. Deep viruses. Even viruses exist at extreme depths, interacting with deep-dwelling bacteria and archaea. Where do they live? Deep inside mines. Scientists have found life at depths of over 3 miles (5 kilometers) in South African gold mines. Beneath the ocean floor, microbes survive under extreme pressure and heat in deep sea sediments. Trapped in rock pores, some bacteria live in tiny water pockets inside rocks, feeding off chemical reactions. How do they survive? They don't rely on sunlight but instead get energy from chemical reactions, chemosynthesis. They thrive in extreme temperatures, sometimes over 120 degrees Celsius (248 degrees Fahrenheit). Some bacteria can survive without oxygen for millions of years. These discoveries suggest that life might exist deep inside Mars or other planets, thriving in similar underground conditions. The successor to Biosphere was the Alvin, named for its inventor, the eponymous Alvine, and launched in 1964 by the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. It was designed to carry 2 scientists and a pilot 4,500 meters down and allow them to stay at that depth for 9 hours. Alvin made over 5,000 dives and fostered an estimated 2,000 research publications. But it had a rocky start, to say the least. Alvin's first dive was in 1965 to 1,800 meters. In March 1966, Alvin was used in an unsuccessful attempt to recover a hydrogen bomb that had been lost in a midair accident and fallen to the seafloor at 910 meters depth off the coast of Spain. Then in October 1966, as Alvin was being lowered over the side of its support vessel, with crew members aboard and the hatch open, the 2 steel cables holding it broke. The crew was able to escape, but the vessel fell to the seafloor in 1,500 meters of water. The fortunate crew members had left their lunches behind, and when Alvin was hauled up, there the food was, intact and with no sign of attack by snacking microbes. This reinforced the view that the deep sea was inimical to significant bacterial life. The Alvin's most famous dive, however, was its 1986 exploration of the wreck of the ill-fated Titanic. After a complete overhaul, finished in 2014, Alvin was back on active duty at Woods Hole. In the summer of 2022, the submersible reached a record depth of 6,453 meters in the Puerto Rico Trench, meaning that Alvin could reach nearly any point on the seafloor. Black smokers. One of the key concepts of plate tectonics is that underneath the center of the oceanic ridges lie chambers of molten magma. These heat the adjacent seawater, which rises and flows out via hydrothermal vents. In 1977, scientists made 24 dives in the Alvin to study these vents along the Galapagos Rift, an offshoot of the East Pacific Rise. They found that 2/3 of the heat lost at the rift escapes via these outlets. Prior to these dives in the Alvin, scientists believed that photosynthesis was the ultimate and indispensable source of the energy needed to support life, meaning that living creatures could not exist in the blackness of the ocean depths. Yet the scientists aboard Alvin found abundant life in a variety of forms on the Galapagos Rift at a depth far below that to which sunlight can penetrate. Where did these creatures get the energy to sustain themselves if not from photosynthesis? Scientists had answered that phytoplankton, which consists of microscopic plants and lives near the surface, die and sift down as marine snow, a term coined by Beebe and a process recognized by the Challenger scientists. Rachel Carson described it in her book The Sea Around Us. When I think of the floor of the deep sea, I see always the steady, unremitting, downward drift of materials from above, flake upon flake, layer upon layer, the most stupendous snowfall the earth has ever seen. The dead phytoplankton fall to the dark, abyssal ocean floor and provide a food source for organisms living there. According to this theory, photosynthesis would still be the ultimate energy source for the creatures of the abyss. But the hydrothermal vents on the Galapagos Rift held a concentration of organisms thousands of times greater than the seafloor around them. Some unrecognized process within the vents, not photosynthesis, was providing the energy on which the vent ecosystem depends. It turned out to be chemosynthesis, in which bacteria oxidize inorganic materials, primarily hydrogen sulfide, in chemical reactions that in turn provide the energy to sustain higher life forms. Black, irregular chimneys mark some vents where chemicals that had been dissolved in the hot water have precipitated as dark sulfides when the hot vent water meets the cold ocean. Scientists subsequently found these black smokers in many places in the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, as well as stranded on land, for example, along the California coast where plate tectonics has lifted an old ocean floor well above sea level. The creatures of the vent ecosystems ultimately depend on the sulfur-reducing bacteria, which we could almost say breathe sulfur, and include many strange denizens never before seen. None were stranger than the tube worms, which measure up to 3 meters long but are only 4 centimeters wide and live in clusters of thousands of individuals per square meter. They depend on the bacteria for energy and have no need for a digestive system. Their existence in such inhospitable conditions once again raised questions about what other life forms could exist at and below the seafloor. Drilling the abyss. The detection of life beneath the seafloor was the goal of one of the earliest deep-sea drilling projects, DSDP voyages, Leg 15 in 1970, led by Chief Scientist Wallace Broecker of Columbia University. The crew found methane, a byproduct of microbial activity, in sediments 800 meters beneath the seafloor and tens of millions of years old. In October 1986, the crew of DSDP Leg 96 drilled the Mississippi Fan, a submarine pile of sediment in the northeastern Gulf of Mexico. They found subsurface microbial activity down to 167 meters beneath the seafloor. By the end of the century, the ocean drilling program had sampled 14 sites for evidence of bacterial activity. A summary of these studies found that although the number of microbes typically decreases with depth beneath the seafloor, living cells are still present down to 700 meters. The authors came to the remarkable conclusion that the biomass in the top 500 meters of seafloor sediments equals 10% of that of the total surface biosphere. These early results suggested that living bacteria likely exist at greater depths than drilling had yet reached. This led to the first expedition designed specifically to study subsurface life. In the spring of 2002, Ocean Drilling Program ODP Leg 201 drilled in two locations, one on the continental margin off Peru and the other in the equatorial Pacific. The subsurface ecosystems turned out to have a great diversity of microbes, including not only the sulfate-reducing bacteria found at the vents but a new type that got its energy from carbon reactions. The microbes were alive in that they engaged in metabolic activities such as repairing DNA and undergoing cell division. They included all three domains of life: archaea, one-celled organisms, bacteria, and eukaryote cells that have a nucleus. By this time, scientists estimated that subsurface bacterial life could amount to one-third that of Earth's total living biomass. In 2003, ODP Leg 210 drilled the seafloor off Newfoundland and upped the ante once again. It found living bacterial cells 1,626 meters below the seafloor, in rocks 111 million years old, at temperatures of 113 degrees Celsius. This led the authors to estimate that bacteria in subsurface sediments may make up as much as two-thirds of total bacterial biomass. Martians. These findings from scientific ocean exploration suggest that microbial life may be pervasive everywhere beneath Earth's surface under conditions long thought to be inhospitable, if not fatal. This raises the possibility that, as Gold postulated, bacterial life may have existed and may still exist on other bodies in the solar system, including Mars. This despite the red planet's hellish surface conditions, continually blasted by lethal radiation from the Sun and the cosmos. The surface temperature of Mars averages -60 degrees Celsius and is so dry that a cup of water would vaporize instantly. A group of scientists experimented with a terrestrial bacterium called Deinococcus radiodurans, said to be the toughest on Earth according to Guinness World Records, to test whether it could survive on Mars. This creature thrives in nuclear reactors. They found that if buried 9 meters underground, D. radiodurans could withstand Martian levels of radiation for 280 million years. Later this decade, the European Space Agency plans to send a spacecraft to Mars that will drill more than 2 meters below the surface and analyze the organic molecules found there. How will we humans react if, when life is discovered on another planet, it looks nothing like us, nor even little green men, but is microbial? If evidence of microbial subsurface life is found on Mars, it may have been the first life form in the solar system, where, protected from the superficial violence and using chemosynthesis, it could indeed have evolved into photosynthetic life and eventually, us. If Earth and Mars harbor subsurface bacterial life, why not other planets as well? That's a fascinating deep dive, pun intended, into the hidden world beneath our feet. The deep biosphere is one of the most intriguing frontiers in science, revealing that life can persist in conditions once thought impossible. The parallels between Earth's deep microbial life and potential extraterrestrial life on Mars or icy moons like Europa and Enceladus make this even more exciting. The discovery of life thriving without sunlight, relying instead on chemosynthesis, completely reshapes our understanding of habitability. Hydrothermal vent ecosystems, deep-sea drilling, and underground microbes have shown that life isn't limited to surface conditions. It can persist in extreme heat, pressure, and isolation. The Martian connection is especially compelling.
If Deinococcus radiodurans can survive extreme radiation and deep burial, who is to say something similar isn't lurking beneath Mars' surface, protected from the planet's harsh climate? If we do find microbial life beyond Earth, it might suggest that life is not a rare accident but rather a fundamental feature of the universe. What do you think? Are we close to discovering alien microbes? Conclusion: a hidden frontier beneath our feet. The deep biosphere is a vast, hidden ecosystem beneath Earth's surface, challenging our understanding of life's limits. From microbes that survive extreme heat and pressure to deep-sea creatures thriving near hydrothermal vents, this mysterious world reveals life's incredible adaptability. Scientific drilling projects and deep-sea explorations have shown that bacteria, fungi, and even small animals can survive miles underground, feeding on chemical reactions instead of sunlight. These discoveries reshape our search for life beyond Earth, suggesting that Mars, Europa, and other planets may harbor subsurface life in similar conditions. As research continues, we are only scratching the surface of this hidden world. The deep biosphere is a reminder that life finds a way even in the most extreme environments, and that the universe may be teeming with unseen biological wonders waiting to be discovered. Dear listener, please subscribe my channel for more informative video. Thanks.